everybody. It's me, Throwback Flyersguy, and welcome to Throwback Flyersguy. I'm your host, Throwback Flyersguy. I want to come on here and do an episode to talk about the death of physical media. Now, I wanted to do this video, and I want to talk about how physical media has been phased out. And when I say physical media, I'm talking about DVDs, video games, and music CDs, and also records as well. When I was a kid, I used to go to the mall with my family. And in that mall, they would have stores that would sell video games. And those stores that I went into were EV Games, which was originally known as Electronic Boutique, and GameStop. Nowadays, you don't see GameStops anymore. You don't. Or EV Games. And there's a reason for that. With the invention of streaming and downloadable content that you can download on your gaming system, you can get it for free without even, you can still pay for it, but you will not get a physical copy. It'll only be a digital copy of the game, not a physical copy. And when I was a kid, I loved displaying all the video games. I loved displaying my library of video games. The jewel case, the packaging, everything. When I got, a couple years ago, last year, because of the lack of room in my house, I had to get rid of my physical media to make more room in this room that I'm in. I had to part with my music CDs and my DVDs. Luckily, I still had my Sega Dreamcast upstairs somewhere, and a couple of games with the Dreamcast as well. But honestly, I really miss it. I miss, having Christmases when I would collect video games and I'd get them for Christmas. I miss that. I miss physical media so much. And unfortunately, physical media has not made a comeback. But there are people trying to get that to come back. There are people that advocate for physical media and advocate for people to collect physical media. Guys like Tyler from My Retro Life. I feel like I truly respect him as a YouTuber, but also somebody who's grown up in the late 80s and the early 90s, collecting video games his whole life. And I truly admire and respect what he does on his channel. Unfortunately, I don't have the resources that he has for his videos. Now, when I say resources, I don't have the physical media copies of games and I don't have much video footage of my early years. And the only video footage I have is video footage from my cousins. I think they have a video tape of me when we were at Disney World. And that's probably the only one I have. And my uncle has a couple of home movies of me as well. Physical media is truly an important thing. For nostalgia's sake, it is truly a beautiful thing. And what I need to say about this is that physical media was a big thing in the late 80s, early 90s. It was also a big thing in the early 70s and late 70s as well. Physical media, in a way, holds a lot of memories. Digital media does not hold a lot of memories. And the memories are there, but the important thing is that the physical media is an artifact of your adventures. It's an artifact in your adventures of gaming, collecting music CDs, and collecting records. It's artifacts to your life that mean a lot to your life. Physical media, unfortunately, is no longer a thing anymore. And to me, I think that's really sad. I really do. But to the people that experienced it, I'm sure they're grateful for it. I know I am very grateful that I was able to experience going to GameStop to pick out a game, going to EV Games to pick out a game, going to Toys R Us to pick out a game. I miss physical media. I miss the feeling of holding an actual video game in my hands, an actual music CD in my hands. I miss it. And the reason I got rid of my physical media was not because I was done with it, only because I needed the room. And unfortunately, if I had a bigger house, I probably would have kept all that stuff. But me, I collected so much physical media, I guarantee you, there could not be any room for any of it. I had almost every season of The Simpsons on DVD. Almost every season of King of the Hill on DVD. And almost every season of South Park on DVD. Not only that, I had a lot of Green Day albums. Not just Green Day albums, but a lot of music CDs and DVDs as well. I have DVDs of the movie Goon. I have a DVD of the movie. I had a DVD of the movie Shrek. I had a DVD of Mewtwo Returns. I had a DVD of Greg the Mummy, a show that only lasted one season, but I had it on DVD. I also had Good Vibes on DVD as well. And many different wrestling DVDs as well. You know, it is convenient that we're able to stream movies, but I feel like the sense of nostalgia is not there. Because if you can watch anything at any time, that takes away the surprise. When I was a kid and I watched TV, it was like an event. When they advertised a certain episode of a certain show, here's what you have to do to not miss it. If you had something to do that night, you would have to physically buy a blank tape, stick it in the VCR, and tape it. And when you got home, you would watch it. And sometimes the tapes would not always come out right. Another thing, recording music off of a radio station. You can't do that now. Well, maybe you can if you have a video recorder on your computer, but you know what? That gives me an idea. That gives me a great idea. I'm going to try doing that one day. Recording stuff off the radio. I haven't done that in a while. Don't even remember the last time I've done that. See, life is different. Back then, we didn't have streaming. We didn't have DVD players. We had VCRs. And before VCRs came along, people used to have Betamax. And before CDs, we had video cassettes. We had cassettes. We had 8-tracks. Well, our parents had 8-tracks. Nostalgia, a lot of people say that nostalgia can be an addiction. Well, nostalgia can be an addiction, but nostalgia, it has great power. Nostalgia has great power, but great responsibility. What I mean by that is if you upload something, like a nostalgic video or something, you may get a copyright strike if you post it on YouTube. So you gotta be careful with that once in a while. Nostalgia is a great thing. Physical media will always be remembered. And there are still people today that collect DVDs. Still people today that collect records and music CDs. I was one of them. Unfortunately, I had to part ways with all that stuff because there just wasn't enough room in my house for all of it. When I had my DVDs, a lot of them were in storage bins, and they were stored upstairs. And I had so many storage bins filled with physical media. I had no room to put it all in here, unfortunately. But I like to think of those times when we played video games. Think of those times when we had to buy blank tapes and record stuff off of the TV. This was our way of archiving episodes or shows, archiving special events in the history of the world on blank tapes. And I always enjoyed that. When my Uncle Gary came over back in 2023, early 2023, with some home movies, I was very excited to watch those home movies because they reminded me of a simpler time. Before the internet, before social media, before DVD players, before Netflix, before Hulu, before Prime Video, before all those streaming apps. It was a simpler time, and we enjoyed it. We had fun. We were never bored. We always thought of things to do. And nowadays, I feel like whenever you want to do something, it's right there at your fingertips. If you want to watch a movie, it's right there. You can go to Netflix. You can go to Hulu. You can go to any streaming app and stream any old TV show, old movie, even upcoming movies that are in the theaters. You know what it was like to wait for a movie to come out? It felt like an eternity. When you see that advertisement on TV, you got excited for the movie that was going to play in theaters. Nowadays, nobody really goes to the movie theater anymore. Nowadays, kids today don't really have the experience of going to a movie theater. There are some places in this world, places in this country, that are trying to keep the movie theaters alive. They're trying to keep the drive-in movie theater experience alive. And that is a beautiful thing, if you think about it. Do you remember what it was like to take out your girlfriend to the drive-in and just watch that movie that you always loved? Nowadays, that feeling is gone. But I feel like they're trying to make a comeback. Not only that, there are people that still have VCRs, that still have blank tapes of commercial blocks and TV shows. They're still on YouTube. And that's what I like about YouTube. Because all the old stuff that you want to see, all the old commercials, they're right on YouTube. And they give you the feeling of nostalgia. They give you that feeling of nostalgia of commercials on old CRT TV. And that's a beautiful thing. That is truly a beautiful thing. And that's why I love doing YouTube. I like coming out here talking about the things I loved in the past. The things I loved from my childhood. And that's just how I feel. So I'm going to title this video Throwback Flyersguy, a tribute to the simpler times. Guys, thank you for joining me here on this edition of Throwback Flyersguy. Guys, thank you for joining me in today's episode. I don't really know what I'll be talking about in my next episode. But in my next episode, I'm going to be talking about, I don't know what I'm going to be talking about in my next episode, but I definitely will think of something. Guys, thank you for joining me, and like always, have a great day. And I hope that you still remember your childhood and the fun times you used to have and the fun times you're going to have today. It's always good to think about nostalgia, but it's also good to think about the future, to think about what you're going to do in your life, to think about your future plans. Because life doesn't last forever. But what I'm saying is, make the best out of every day. Make the best out of those moments in your life. Because life doesn't last forever. Experience everything while you can. Live it up while you can. Have a good time. Laugh. Be happy. and spend some time with the ones you love. Because sooner or later, that's all going to end. That all will end sooner or later. So live it up while you can, folks. Guys, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.